Benin, Mo, Gareth, Ian. There's lots of chat all the time, one way or another, around the ownership. For me, what I think's dead interesting is the idea of what's their game. Not in the sense of what's their game, more like how what follows Fenway. Because I think my premise for this, Ian, is I think it's more likely Fenway Sports Group sells Fenway Sports Group than Fenway Sports Group sells Liverpool, if you sort of know what I mean. So we end up with a new owner because they've sold all under their maybe not with Boston because of the personal connection there, but people getting to a certain age and all of that sort of thing. I just sort of think that we think, oh, at some point Liverpool will get sold off as Liverpool. I don't know if it'll be as crystal clear as that. I think it might end up being a lot muddier and therefore a lot more difficult to deal with.
Possibly so, and I think the timeline always interests me because I always wonder, well, how long are they going to stick it out for, if that's the right kind of word? Because I think when you talk about the ownership, it can be quite a difficult conversation, and I know I'm someone who's probably given them a little bit of stick, it's fair to say, over their tenure. I think rightly at times. I will always say that. I think there's some things they've done really, really well. Because it's never been about, for me, saying the terrible owners. I've never really thought that, but I think there's some things they could have done a lot better, and they've made some mistakes. And I think it's the repeating the mistakes that sticks in the throat a little bit for me. You want to see people learn lessons and stuff, and maybe communication could be slightly better. So it's intriguing, Neil. And it's also, you can't be blinded sometimes by thinking, well, what's round the corner is necessarily better either, because that might not be true. There's lots of billionaires out there who could come in and they won't be whiter than white either, because guess what, by being a billionaire, you probably have to cut a few corners in your time. So you've got to be careful what you wish for as well. And I don't really know what their kind of tenure looks like in terms of how long it may go on for. I always thought, would they maybe tie it into maybe when Jurgen's thinking about leaving, because that presents a problem for them, I think. And I know some people might disagree with that, but I think when the manager leaves, that does present a huge problem in terms of the model that they like to operate under. Yeah, it's really, really interesting.
I think that they might have some kind of break for maybe 12 to 18 months after that. I think they will want to have someone else in mind who can continue that, but if it turns out that that's not the case, then they might look to have a break clause there. I think the biggest problem we're going to have out of all of this is the fact that the people who are selling the football club have absolutely no obligation to make sure the people buying the football club are the best people to buy the football club. They don't care. It's not up to them anymore. They've sold it. And so for us, the people who are going to be suffering from whoever comes in or benefiting from whoever comes in, we've got to hope that the nice things that they're saying about legacy and about continuing the storied history of the franchise, or what they would call it, that all adds up. Because we saw with David Moores loved the club. No one would deny that. It ended up being the worst possible people that he sold it to. And the reasons for that, we'll get into them all, but the fact of the matter is that it wasn't necessarily up to him anymore to decide who is the best people.
The Articles of Association thing in amongst this, Gareth, with Spirit of Shankly and the idea of doing a shadow board is absolutely massive, I think, because what they've actually done there, I think, is make themselves, and this is why, again, I think maybe the idea of selling Fenway Sports Group is going to be a bit different and a bit likelier than selling Liverpool Football Club, because what they've actually done there is they've made, theoretically, the football club a bit less attractive. What you are basically saying to owners there is, well, you're handcuffed to a degree, not massively, but you are handcuffed around this sort of stuff. And I think it's an interesting move, and it makes me think, I don't think it will be in the immediate aftermath of Klopp. I think they're thinking 10 years down the line, the sport might all look very different then, but we'll be in a position to prosper.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do it then, because I think anyone looking to come in would be looking at, it wouldn't be daft. They'd be like, well, we'll see what happens here as well. Do you know what I mean? Because if it's going to take a nosedive because you can't get a similar manager, then we'll just hang on, actually. But no, I think you're right. I think the fans thing is really important in all of this, in that, we play a part in basically them being the owners in the first place and that situation arising. And then while they've been in charge, I would agree, they've made a lot of mistakes, including most recently the Super League stuff. Yeah. And I think, they sort of took a flamethrower to a lot of trust there, certainly in my mind. And so, to get some of that back by now, wrapping fans up in the ownership as much as you can and as much as they're prepared to do, is definitely a step in the right direction. Alright, the Reds, thanks for watching a little bit of a premium Anfield Wrap video there. If you want to watch the rest of that show and get access to much more, click join below. That activates our YouTube membership. It means you get a premium video every day of the week. You get our post-match content, you get reviews, previews and exclusive interviews, all here from the heart of Liverpool. Follow us, follow them. Up the Reds.